Okay, good morning. Welcome along to our Staying Well While Staying Home series. So this is a collaboration between Siel, Bleu Ireland and the Irish Cancer Society. Myself, Shane, I'll be leading you through this session. First thing I'll always say, should anything happen with the stream, sometimes we know technology will let us down on YouTube here. If that happens, I will start a new stream through our YouTube channel. So if anything happens that we get interrupted, I will start a new stream. Things we'll use for this session: a good strong chair that I can use. I will lead all of the exercises in standing. You can adapt and perform anything seated as you wish. We like to use weight and some added resistance for the session. So if you don't have weight, you can always use bottles, tins. But if you find it easy, you're just generally trying to find a harder weight. If it's tough, you can always strip it back, take the weight out, or use a lighter weight. So yeah, morning, Mary. Great to have you with us. Perfect. So also just a bottle of water, and even in your house now, I know it's cold outside, so it's just the little things like where maybe if your heat on full blast, but pretty quickly you might get very warm. So just be aware of those little things when you're exercising. And then finally, just that you have a good space to work out in. So as we tip in towards 10 o'clock, what I'll do is bring us into our warm-up. And then final things I'll say, the two main areas we work on in this session is our strength work, so our strength circuit, and then our aerobic work, which I put before. So that's about movements, building up endurance in the lungs. So yeah, finally as well, any movement that causes pain, just leave that exercise out. Don't persist if something doesn't feel good. Otherwise, let's begin and get started, get moving. Probably a little bit cold just standing around, so we'll get ourselves moving straight away. So elbows by my sides, just going to start leading around in circles just to get some movement through the shoulders here. So just using those elbows to create nice big circles through the shoulders, just showing from different angles how that might look. And again, just typically where I'll start with these sessions, just around the shoulders, getting some light movement, changing direction. Now I'm moving forward in circles. Again, just creating that nice movement through the shoulders here. Okay, next action. What I want to do is just bring the arms out. I want to pull back and just lightly step forward. So think of a rowing action. Just looking to connect with the back of my body as I pull back low into my stomach. Just get a nice connection as I pull back. So just that rowing motion. All of these movements, we're just gradually bringing that heart rate up, warming up our body, loosening out, and we are just preparing for some of the main actions ahead. Okay, now bringing the hands to my shoulders. What I want to do is just lightly begin lifting the elbows in front. I just think elbows to around shoulder height. Anyway, tight or a little bit difficult with this position, just alternate, work through one side at a time. Just lifting the elbows in front to about shoulder height. Now I pause in the position, elbows elevated, open to the sides, back and front, open to side, back and front. Like the last movement, anyway, I'm comfortable. Maybe this is a little bit tight around this area or it just doesn't feel comfortable. You might work through one side at a time. Just opening those elbows from front to side. Okay, and then return. Now, next movement, just want to bring the hands up. Let's take a small side step and press. Just pushing out from chest and then lightly stepping side to side. Okay, and then just return down, just bring it into a march. Again, just trying to keep this as moving as much as I can today. As I know it's getting a little bit colder out, so instead of just hanging around, just keeping the body moving, active, main thing here. Okay, so next movement, we're going to move down in towards the legs more now. Just lightly curling the heel back one at a time. Always having that chair available if you need. Just lightly curling back one at a time, heel towards bum. Okay, and just return it back into a march. Just keeping it moving here. Just go through one or two of these lower limb movements a couple of times. So again, just curling a leg back one at a time, heel towards bum. Might just feel a little connection through the back of our legs here. I'm just starting to warm up now. In no way am I out of breath or anything yet, but I'm just warming up nicely now, starting to loosen out and moving to a point where I'm more prepared for the challenging work ahead. Okay, and just bring it back in. Return to march. What will go next is just lightly tapping the heels out in front. I'm going to work the calf today, the back of the lower leg. So we'll just prepare through a little movement here. Just tapping heels out in front. I might just turn to face my chair for the next action. What I'll do is just lightly stretch the legs back. So point your toes into the floor. Just keeping it moving, and that chair is there to guide you if you want. Okay, and then one more time between the two positions. Just returning, tapping the heels out in front, lightly pointing the toes up towards the ceiling, and lightly tapping the heel into the floor. And then again, just return and lightly point the toes into the floor, stretch the legs back, lightly tapping those toes into the floor. Okay. And then one final action in my warm-up. Again, that chair is alongside me. Just a good lift with the right knee, big lift with the left knee. So just one at a time, just getting a little bit of height through the position now. Just finishing off our warm-up. So I'm just going to slow it down for this one. And return. Okay, so that's our warm-up finished. Want to bring us kind of like a continuation of the warm-up where we move straight into our aerobic block. So the goal here is you're moving, you're active. Think the challenge of a brisk walk, being on a bike, being on a treadmill. That's what we look for here. There's an element of balance, coordination involved. So just proceed with caution in that regard. And if you want, adapt and change the exercise to a seated position, really just through mimicking what you see in standing with me leading. So I'm going to put the clock on. I'm going to show you the movement, and we're just going to keep this flowing throughout. 3 movements, we repeat 3 times. And that puts us on the clock for about 10 minutes of movement. So first action, my chair is alongside me, should I need for support. What I want to do is step forward with left foot, and then bring the right knee up. Step back, and forward again. So each time you lead with the left foot and drive the opposite right knee up, and then step back. Okay. My chair is alongside me for support if I need at any point. And I go for a little kind of power on the lift. Once I feel happy and balanced with the movement that I'm doing, I'll continue at a nice brisk pace that I'm happy with, where there's challenge, but equally that I'm in control of. Should you feel in any way unbalanced, take the step away. Just work on lifting that right knee. And the same goes for the seated position. Just work on lifting the right knee. Stepping forward, lift the knee and back. Now, seamlessly into the next side. Now I want to step forward with my right foot and lift the left knee and then back. Right foot forward, lift the left knee and back. So we'll just continue on like that. So it's just lifting that left knee and that right foot just steps forward to place the position. And then a big step backwards. Chair is always alongside. If I need to hold on, I can take the stepping element away and just work on lifting the knee if I prefer, whether standing or seated. Again, you're just getting a feel on this first round. There's no pressure at all here. But in our second and third round, providing you feel comfortable with the movements, we can start to add a little bit more power into them. Okay, final action, arms out, forward in circles, and I want to march through the position as well. Keeping those arm circles nice and steady. I'm not going to rush the movement. If I go really fast with the arm circles, those shoulders will get very tired very fast. Just keep it as a nice steady action and marching at the same time. So plenty of challenge in this final one. Again, the more power I bring in with that march, the more challenge I might feel. Equally, I can just slow the pace down if I find this very difficult. One element, so if you find the shoulders are just really tired here, just work on the march, or if marching is really tough, just work through the arm circles. Okay, first round finished. Let's just keep it flowing straight in. Next round, step forward with left foot, lift the right knee and back. We now are familiar with the movements. If it feels good, if it feels unbalanced, or we're happy with it. So you're picking what level works for you, whether that's support with the chair, without, seated position, or just simply lifting the knee. Picking the version that works best. Now I'm moving with a little bit of intensity through the movement. I want to feel a little bit of challenge. I want to feel that I'm working here. Step forward, lift the right knee, and then a big step back. So lifting the right knee with your left foot placing forward just to start the position or start the movement. And switch. Now, the action is to lift the left knee. So I walk my right foot forward and lift the left knee and back. Left knee up, stepping back. Just always using the opposite foot to place the position, just to give you that steady base before you lift the knee on the opposite side. So my right foot forward, left knee up. Chair is alongside all the time if I need for support. I can take it into a stationary position or in my chair, just simply on working, lifting the knee. One more time. Okay, arms out, directly in, forward with those circles, and let's march at the same time. I just start one part because there's that little bit of coordination. So I just pick one part, I start it, and then I'll just bring the second part in. So those arms are straight, forward in circles, nice steady action. Again, we don't want to go too fast, those shoulders will get very tired. And just marching throughout, just showing from a different angle. Keeping those arms slowly forward in circles, nice steady action, and marching throughout. Slowing it down if you need to, resting the arms if you need to at any point. Last couple of seconds here. And return, okay? Final round, let's just go straight in, stepping forward with left foot, lifting the right knee. So this third round might feel a little bit more challenge. I'm familiar with all the movements now. I know how they feel. I'm happy. I feel balanced with them. So I'm pushing with a little bit of power in this final round, providing that feels okay. Step forward, lift the right knee. Step forward, lift the right knee. Okay, last couple of times, lifting that right knee. And once more. And back. Now, opposite side. Forward with the right foot. Lift the left knee. So we'll just move seamlessly from one side to the next. Left knee is lifting. Right foot is stepping forward. Chair is always alongside. Bring it to a stationary position if you need of just lifting the knee, whether seated or standing. Okay, last couple of times here, lifting that left knee. And one more time. And in, okay? Just going to bring those arms out. Forward in circles, nice straight arms. And then let's bring the march into play as well. So arm circles, nice straight arms, nice controlled movement from the shoulders. And just marching through the position at the same time. Again, if you find this tough, become breathless in any way, want to slow that pace right down. If you find all this quite easy, it's about maybe bringing a little bit more intensity in with your movements. So just finding that balance where you have a challenge, not completely breathless that you can't talk in a full sentence, but where you are feeling a challenge. And rest, okay? So that's our aerobic block of work finished. That's about in and around 10 minutes on the clock there of just pure movement. And if in standing, elements like balance at play there as well. So good start. What we'll now do as you take a rest, take your drink of water. We'll move into our main strength circuit now. Now with this work, we pick 5 movements. And that's a nice kind of number to pick. Around 5 exercises that we focus in on. And we'll repeat 3 rounds of the circuit. And again, we know with this work, any movement that causes you any kind of pain, just doesn't feel good, do please change the movement if something doesn't feel good. You can perform any of these movements seated instead of standing, but I will lead all of this work standing. But within that standing position, make any little changes, like take weight out of a movement if you need. For example, on a squat, you can do it with or without the extra weight. So it's all about choice, whatever works best for you in terms of variation. So, first exercise today. Now, I'm just going to set my chair up. We're going to go with a wide stance squat, or what's called a sumo squat. Just to give you the seated variation first, if you're working in seated, I want you to hold your weight, elevate the feet, and just lightly pulse the legs up and down. I like this movement as a seated adaptation, just to place tension through the thighs. Keep the feet elevated, not dropping down to the floor. Keep them elevated. Standing position. Just make sure I'm in shot there. I want to open my feet nice and wide to around shoulder width apart. Okay, let's get my clock ready, sorry. Further than shoulder width. So my feet are wider than the two legs of my chair here. So you can see I'm in a really wide stance and my toes are pointed to the wall either side of me here. So wide foot position, toes flared out. That's my start point. Secondly, I'm going to take the weight, if that feels comfortable, up about chest height, but you can do this without weight if you prefer. From this position, I'll squat down and stand straight back up. So I squat down, straight back up. My knees staying in line with my toes, my back straight throughout. If I need, as I'll demonstrate now, I can fully sit down to that chair. I'll show once more. Or I can get rid of the weight. But if it feels comfortable, we just continue to squat down and then back up. Compared to a regular stance of squat, you might feel through the inner thighs more on this one. Glutes very active as well. If you don't like this setup, you prefer a regular squat, that's okay. Bring it back to a regular squat. But a different variation, a different challenge for us today. Slowly down, straight back up. Last couple of reps here. One more if comfortable. And back in, okay? Rest the weight down. Second movement. Couple of ways you can do this one. From your seated position, the variation will be to take a weight and push nice and smooth out from chest. So that is your seated variation, pressing the weight out from chest. Second variation you can do here will be a wall push-up. So that's where you can place your hands against the wall, shoulder width apart and about chest height, step back at the angle, lower into the wall, press back out. The version which I will lead with today is a chair push-up. So very important point to this one. If you don't have a suitable position in your room, use the wall instead. However, if you can place your chair against the wall, an object where there's no danger of it moving, you can explore this variation. So it's just picking the level that's right for you. Whether that's seated version, your wall version, or in this case, I can place my chair against a strong object where it won't move. So I stand back, my heels elevated, I create an angle so I'm not bending, I'm nice and straight. I lower down, and then I'll press straight back up. What I'll say on this variation, which might be new to us today, work in a range that feels comfortable. So I don't want to lower excessively far. I just want to slowly explore the range. If you feel comfortable, you might explore a little bit more depth, but start on the side of caution, building your way up. I'm going to feel the back of the arms very active, in addition to my chest, just general upper body strength here. But again, you can use your wall just as easily. This chair version will just be a little bit more challenging because of the incline I've created. So it's always about choice, whichever version of the movement works best for you. Slowly lower down, breathe out, press up. And walk it in, okay? Reverse lunge next. In the seated position, you're not going to target the same muscle exact, but what I want to do is practice the mechanics of movement, bringing your leg back from the heel toe position, and you can alternate with this one. So bringing them back from the heel to the toes of your foot, that action of pulling the leg back. For those of us in standing, I want you to stand behind your chair, step back with your right foot, lower the body down, step back in, swap, foot back, lower the body, step back in. Every time it's that front leg which takes the load and the weight of my body. Keep width between the feet as you step back, so we don't want to narrow the stance and become unbalanced. Keep the body straight, so lower the body straight down as opposed to leaning forward. And then I just lightly step back into the position. My knee will stay in line with toes. Just mindful that you're not leaning forward and pushing that knee excessively far forward. Work in a range that feels comfortable. So not needing to force yourself too low. You might just work in a smaller range as I demonstrate now, if that feels more appropriate. You don't need to push the range too far on this one. Work in a range that feels good to you. And back in. Okay. Next movement. Take your 2 weights. So the way I will do this one, turn it this way. Hold my 2 weights. Physically hold the weight out. So not resting against the hips. Let's hold an inch or 2 out. From that position, lift right foot up, lift left foot up. Seated position, just work on holding the weight and lifting the knee one at a time. So right foot, left foot. I get a good big lift of the knee. My hip is active as I lift the knee. My upper body stays straight, and I'm working hard to hold those weights ever so slightly out from the side. The shoulder stays switched on. Again, there's no need to speed through this one. We're looking for a good strong lift. Just taking your time. If you feel any way unbalanced, you can take the weight out of the movement, just working on the lift. Even if the chair is a little bit high, just focus on lifting the knee, not actually tapping onto the chair. You might even hold on for support. Upper body stays straight, just not bending into the movement. Last couple of times. And down. Okay. Final movement. We're going to do weighted heel raises. A couple of ways you can do this. You can follow this action seated exactly the same way. You can do this without weight by simply holding the back of your chair. And the variation which I will go with is, again, just adding weight to the movement. Hold the 2 weights by your side, nice and upright. And I want you to elevate your heels up, right up on the toes, back down. So heels up, back down. Body stays straight. Mentioned before in this series, when we work those heel raises, just mindful that we don't sway forward and back. The action is up, back down, with that kind of maximum workload through the back of our lower legs. Again, that extra little challenge of bearing weight through each side. So good strong lift, right up onto the toes, heels return to floor. Heels up, return to the floor. It might start simple, mightn't feel much as we go along. We'll look to feel more activation through the back of those lower legs. Heels up. Last once or twice now. One more if comfortable. And down. Okay, rest the weight down. Take a little breather. Okay, so first round finished. I always say, you're just exploring the movements that first round. Ask yourself, was it easy? Was it hard? If it was very difficult, you might want to just slow the pace down. You might want to take weight. For example, that last exercise, you might say, I'll do that without weight on the second round. On the opposite spectrum, if it was quite easy, you might think going forward, Do I have access to maybe a slightly heavier weight? So maybe I could have held a heavier weight there, or with my squat, picking the standing instead of the seated. And even just within that, anything that didn't feel good, it might just be a case, as I say, taking the weight out, just making small little changes to the movements. But if everything felt okay, you felt a good challenge, we just continue on, just straight in to our second round. We'll take a little drink of water if you need. So, just going to bring it back to the start. Again, your seated variation. Briefly, you'll hold your weight, elevate the legs and feet, and you'll just pulse those legs up and down, keeping as much tension through the thighs as we can. Standing, feet wider than shoulder width, so wider than the legs of my chair, toes pointed to the walls either side of me. Weight up at my chest, and I begin. Squat down, straight back up. Now I can just keep that chair there should I need it. If you feel you need to fully sit to the chair for the movement, that's fine. Or just if you were to kind of lose power with the movement, you can just reset like that and then continue to squat. Again, I'm working through this wide stance. My knees will stay in line with my toes. You feel that little stretch through the inner thigh on this movement. Glutes very active as I stand here as well. And just a different challenge for us. If you don't like this, nothing wrong with bringing it back to a regular stance, squat, up, down in the same way. Hips coming forward as I stand, hips moving down and back as I squat. Last couple of times here. One more if comfortable, and rest. Okay, next version again. Remember, in the seated position, take your weight up. Nice smooth press out from chest. Standing. Again, I'm going to lead with my chair push-up where I create the incline, but it's in a safe position where that chair cannot move. You can pick your wall if you prefer. Again, up on the toes, lower into the wall, press back out. So that wall can work really effectively as well. But progression today. I stand back, my heels off the floor, nice straight body, lower down, straight back up. Again, just get a feel if this is a new movement. I'm not going to force it too far. I just want to slowly build into the position. Nice straight body, lower down, straight back up, lower down, straight back up. As well as the chest and just general upper body power and strength with this movement. The back of the arms, you might feel very active. So if you feel a little burn through the back of the arms, we would expect that kind of thing on this movement. Mindful that body stays straight. You're not bending the back. Everything is in a nice straight line. And I can shorten the angle if I prefer, just by going a little bit more upright, placing a little bit less load through the position. So always adjust within this, whether you're using the chair, using the wall, do adjust within that position, making it easier or harder. Easier by going more upright, harder by going at more of an angle. And rest. I walk it in. Reverse lunge, just remembering in the seated position. Legs back one at a time from heel to the toes of the foot. Standing. You can use that chair in front. Nice straight position. Right foot back. Lower the body. And then step back in. Opposite side. Step back. Lower down. Excuse me. And then step back in. As you step the foot back, keep width between the feet. So I don't want to narrow the stance that I become unbalanced. I then lower my body as opposed to leaning forward and just work to around. So I don't need that knee position. Let me just check, is that camera gone? Just let me know if any issues there. I know it briefly froze, but if we're continuing and it's okay, we'll just proceed. If not, I'll set up a new stream. Hopefully that's okay. Last couple of seconds through this movement, just step back, lower down, back in, and rest. Okay, all okay. Phew, relief. So yeah, we'll keep going. Might sometimes just interrupt like that. If that does actually stop, just give me a shout out and I'll start a fresh stream. But touch wood, it'll keep going for us. Right, so next movements. Chairs in front. We're still on the clock perfectly. No damage done. So hold the two weights out from the side. So not resting in at the hip if you can. Out from the sides. Lift the right foot. Lift the left foot. So hip action here. That hip flex. Lifting the knee up. Nice big lift. Lightly tapping foot to chair. Upper body stays straight. So I'm just mindful that we don't bend in this position. I want to keep it nice and straight. Might just pick a point on the wall in front of you. And just continuing that action. I'm not putting any kind of weight onto the chair. I'm just ever so slightly tapping it. You don't need to use the chair. I just like that physical kind of height, that tangible height to aim for. Lift the knee, lift the knee. Upper body challenge, just holding your two weights and keeping them out from the side as much as you can without resting physically in at your side. And down. Okay, final action, heel raises. For our second round of the circuit here. You can do this seated. As I mentioned the last time, you can do this without weight, holding the back of the chair. Some people find that plenty challenge, and it is. And then if you're happy with it, your two weights. By your side, feet, my toes are straight ahead, and I begin. Heels up, return to floor. Heels up, return to floor. So just keep that position as straight as I can. Mindful that I don't sway forward and back. Feeling as much tension as I can through the back of the lower legs. Up on the toes, return heels to floor. Up on toes, return heels to floor. Just a little bit of control here as well. Just mind from one to the next. There's a little bit of control as you lift the heels up. Heels up, and just continuing on. Simplest change you'll make is to get rid of that weight. Okay, last couple of reps here. We like to push this one quite hard. Get that little bit of tension through the back of the lower legs. One more if comfortable. And rest. Okay, drop the weights down. It's 2 rounds of your circuit finished. So I'm going to move in, take a little breather, drink of water. 1/3 final round. Again, just check with yourself. Maybe that second round was tougher than the first. And equally, the third round, again, might just be a little bit more tiring. But if everything feels okay, continue as is. If it feels a little bit tough, don't be afraid to slow it down a little bit. Second round, as we mentioned, maybe just taking weight out of the movement. And we do always have the seated options as well. Otherwise, continue on. We welcome a challenge. Maybe it's a little bit of a pant as I talk, maybe a little bit red, maybe a little light sweat. These are all okay factors. Just if we were completely breathless, unable to talk, or things were feeling really, really painful, anything like that, that's your cue. You want to strip it back if that was the case. So let's go. Third final round. And that means that sumo squat. So remember, if working seated, take your weight, elevate the feet, pulse the legs up and down. Otherwise, I want to take this wide stance, wider than the legs of the chair. Think of it that way. Pointing the toes towards the wall either side of me, or just wherever you're in. Hold the weight up at chest and squat down. Now, within this, I choose quite a wide stance. You can vary it a little bit. It doesn't have to be, you might say, you know what, that feels better to me. So you might narrow it ever so slightly, but still quite wide overall. So always within these movements, just adjust, kind of listen to your body on what feels right here. We're keeping the knees in line with my toes. I'm just squatting down, straight back up. So always thinking power through the legs. Might feel those inner thighs more active with this position. I might feel that our glutes very active as well here. Different challenge today. Let me just see how we go with this one. If you just don't like this wide stance, bring it back to a regular stance. Squat up, down. Last couple of reps. One more. Hand down, okay? Push-up variations. Remember, seated, you can just work on pressing the weight out from chest. You can secondly work from your wall position. Hands against the wall, stand back, lower in, press back out. Nice straight line. Nice secure position. If you have a good steady position where you can push your chair in against the wall, so there's no danger of movement, we can work with that. So I walk my feet back, heels off the floor, straight body, drop down, press back up, drop down, press back up. But we just have to have that chair against the secure position so it won't move on us. Very important if working this version. But the likes of a kitchen counter as well could work really well. We'll keep the body straight, heels elevated, lower down, straight back up. Power, strength through the upper body. My chest is active. Back of the arms switched on. Exhale as I press away from chair or wall. Inhale as we lower into each position. Last couple of times. One more if comfortable. Back in. Okay. Reverse lunge, seated. As I say, you're not going to work the exact same muscle with this one, but you're just going to practice that function of going backwards. So bringing the leg back from the heel to the toes. So we'll just practice that kind of mechanical element of the movement. Standing, what I want to do is the reverse lunge, hands on chair, right foot back, lower the body down, step back in. You can just really taper the range here. So you might just go, as I'll demonstrate, with a small little range of movements. That's fine if that's what feels appropriate. Or you can slowly explore a little bit more depth if that feels okay. Thinking always of the front leg that's taking the weight, taking the load of the movement, and that's really working. So even though one leg steps back, it's really that stationary front leg that does most of the work on this one. Again, my knee will stay in line at my toes. Naturally, it will move a little, but it's not excessively far forward, and I'm not leaning my body forward. I don't need my knee to come down to the floor or anything like that. Just working a range and a depth that's good to you. One more if comfortable. And back in. Okay, we're going to go for those knee lifts next. Take your 2 weights. Remember just how I set up, I hold the weight out. As opposed to just resting, I'm going to hold the weight, keep the shoulders switched on here. Seated position, same action, lift the knee. 3, 2, 1, let's begin. Right knee up, left knee up. Lightly tapping the chair. My foot, I'm not putting any weight through the position, just getting a good strong lift of the knee. Holding the weight out, upper body stays switched on. Just continuing on. Last couple of times. Big lift every time. Upper body nice and straight. And rest. Okay. Final one, heel raises. Again, you can do this seated. You might want to get rid of the weight. Hold the back of the chair. It's no problem. And as I will lead with, holding the 2 weights. So don't need to kind of worry about holding out. You might need to just relax the position now. Weights in by your side. Feet, toes straight ahead. And let's begin. Elevate the heels. Return to floor. Elevate the heels. Return to floor. I'm just continuing on. Heels up. Heels down. Yeah, I'm thinking about maximum tension that I can feel through the back of those lower legs. Keeping the position straight, just mindful that you don't sway forward and back. And by that, kind of taking some of that tension away. If I keep that position straight, just simply elevate the heels, return to floor. As much connection with the back of those lower legs as I can. Last couple of seconds. And rest. Okay, drop the weights down. 3 rounds of circuit finished. Really excellent work. Take a drink of water. Just like to do a little recap. So we worked the calf, back and lower legs. We worked the thigh or quads. We worked inner thigh, glutes with our squat. We worked the hip with our lifts. We had the shoulders active when we're bearing the weight. Worked the quad or the thigh again with our lunge. So a lot covered there. A lot of different parts activated, and that all of that on top of our aerobic work as well. So as you just take your rest, I'm going to go to one final movement. What I like to do is sometimes just like a mobility exercise or a little challenge, just something at the end of the session that you can kind of take home with you. I like to do this if we have time. So this is just a shoulder mobility movement or like a stretch. So if moving into the overhead position or just general shoulder tightness is an issue, this is just a really nice movement you can do any point of the day when you wake up in the morning or just any point where the shoulder maybe feels a little bit stiff. There's no guarantee this will be helpful for everyone, but it just can be a really useful movement. So what I would do is I would line myself up against the wall, placing the 2 hands against the wall, one at a time. And what I'd say here is slow is key. What I want to do is just slowly crawl my right hand up. You'll see how I just lengthen that right arm up and reach a point where you feel that's kind of enough. If any further was to cause pain. Let's not push it into that pain zone. So I want you to hold here for about 10 seconds and just feel that stretch through the shoulder. So then I'll just slowly walk down, just crawl the fingers down, reset. Now just walk up with the left side. So you might find one side has more movement, more range than the other. These are just natural things we might find. So now I stretch the position, hold for about 10 seconds. My left arm is up, raised, stretch through the shoulder, and then crawl down. The key point I'm trying to emphasize is slow. What I don't like to happen is that I kind of shoot up and reach a point of pain through fast movement. There's no connection if I just shoot up, down. So keep it slow, keep it controlled. Let's go again. Just crawl the fingers of that right hand up and I just explore the range slowly. Now, I'm actually a little bit further this second time. I hold that stretch, a couple of seconds here, and then just walk it down. And again, just take your time. There's no need to slide up, down really fast. When that right hand is down, I activate the left side. Walk up, stretch out, hold the maximum position where I feel comfortable holding. About 10 seconds here. And then back down. And we'll just go through it one more time on each side. Reset. Right hand, just slowly crawl up the wall. Straighten the arm out. And hold that end range. See how far you can comfortably go with the stretch. Just going to hold your position. And then slowly walk back down. Okay, swap, let the left side initiate now, walking slowly, crawling up the wall, straightening that left arm out, holding the stretch, connecting with your shoulder, kind of exploring the range, holding the stretch. And then I'll just slowly walk back down. And rest. Okay, so again, not to get too bogged down, that's just a useful stretch, maybe of some help, and just something you can try. As I say, you wake up and the shoulder's really tight, or before, or maybe after any kind of exercise, or just any point in the day, maybe the shoulders feel a little bit tight. That can be just a nice one to explore. So let's take a couple of stretches. I'm going to lead a couple of stretches in standing today to see how we find them. Just going to curl my right foot back. Just want to lightly hold on to that foot and gently pull the leg back. So I'll stretch out that thigh, the front of the leg here. Hold for a couple of seconds. And back down. To the opposite side, just pull that left foot back. Lightly hold on. Pull back. Stretch out the front of that leg. And back down. Let's work through each side again. A little bit longer this second time. Right foot back. I should say, if it makes you feel unbalanced, don't worry about grabbing the foot. But if comfortable, grab the foot and lightly pull the leg back. So I stretch out the front of that leg. Again, it's going to stay a little bit longer in the position this second time. And then back down. Swap sides. Left foot back. Again, if comfortable, grab the foot. If it's not comfortable, don't worry about the physical hold. But grabbing if comfortable, lightly pull the leg back, holding out that stretch to the front of the leg, the thigh. Again, spend a little bit longer in the stretch this second time. And back down. Perfect. Okay. I'm just going to move up the body a little bit and we'll return to the lower body as well. So what I want to do next is just open those arms to the sides. Just lightly step forward and pull the arms back. So just think of opening out that chest, which we did work in the session today. Return. Reset. Lightly step forward Arms back, open out that chest. Reset. Okay. Just going to go again. Let's just go twice more. Just gently pull arms back, open up that chest. And then once more. And down. Okay. We'll just think about bringing the shoulders back. So just nice and relaxed. Slowly rolling shoulders back. Change the direction, bringing those shoulders slowly forward in circles. Okay, just get a little shoulder blade squeeze. I'm just going to bring the arms out, bring the elbows back, just get a little squeeze, hold position, and then just relax the arms out. Pull back, squeeze, hold position for a couple of seconds here. And relax forward one more time. Just bring the elbows back, squeeze, hold position. And back down. Okay, just going to give you a calf stretch next. The way I'll do this one, you can use your wall really effectively. You can also use your chair if you prefer. The way I want to do this one is to step back with my right leg, place the heel into the floor, and just want to gently pulse my body forward as I push that back heel into the floor. Front leg is a soft knee, and I might just feel a stretch, lengthening through the back of the leg here. Switch sides. Left foot back, straighten the leg, push the heel into the floor, soften that front leg. So I push forward lightly whilst that heel pushes into the ground. Okay, let's go once more with each position. Right foot back, straighten the leg, push heel into the floor, gently pulse the body forward and hold. Again, any kind of a stretch down through the back of that leg. Just make sure the heel isn't lifting, that it is pushed into the floor. Back in, once more, left heel back, straight leg. Push gently forward as you push that back heel into the floor until you feel a stretch through the back of that lower leg. And return. Okay. So we'll just take a couple of breaths to relax down. Thanks very much, Mary. I really do appreciate that. So if anyone has any feedback, whether you do the workout later in the week, later in the day, do always let me know. Hard, easy, challenge. We want challenge. That's kind of ideal to hear, that there is challenge in the session. That's the main thing. But we can always adapt to make it slightly harder, slightly easier as well. So a couple of deep breaths just to relax. Just double the time of your exhale. One more time. Okay, so that's us for today. So that's our Staying Well While Staying Home series. A collaboration between Siel, Bleu Ireland and the Irish Cancer Society. So I'll be back next Wednesday, same time, 10 o'clock. So anything in the meantime, any questions, feedback, do just get in touch. But otherwise, have a great week and see you again next week. So thanks very much and well done, everyone. Thanks very much, Mary. I really do appreciate the feedback. So thanks very much.